What is the American dream? To most people, it is the ideal that every U.S. citizen should have an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative.
The American dream is being able to make a new life for yourself out of scratch.
I think the American dream is happiness and stability.
I believe the American dream is to be successful and happy with your life.
In the 50s, the American dream was a middle-class income and a family home in the suburbs. People believed in the idea of a nuclear family, basically the white picket fence ideal. But as time went on, people began to own multiple cars, multi-million-dollar homes, and a perfect family. However, the question is this: did the American dream ever exist for anyone? Unfortunately, for most people, it's just not true. Because the American dream calls for equality and social mobility for people of all social classes, races, sexes, and sexual preferences, in today's society, it cannot exist. The truth is this: most people in the United States will end up in the same socioeconomic class in which they began. And for first-generation immigrants, people living in poor communities, etc., your chances of moving down the socioeconomic scale are even more likely than staying in the same one. Today, there are 41 million first-generation immigrants living in the United States, representing around 13.1% of the U.S. population. Even though immigrants and their children make up so much of the population, naturalization and citizenship are at historic lows, and the United States doesn't even compare to other nations in the proportion of eligible citizens achieving citizenship. Since the mid-1990s, U.S. immigration policies have become abysmal towards the undocumented, and law enforcement has been preventing people from employment and long-term stay in the United States. Social mobility is valued by many American families, and yet for almost 23% of the population, it is so much more difficult to achieve.
I'm a project manager, senior project manager at Pfizer now. As a person of color, I find it very difficult to move up in the corporate career. There are many reasons for that. One of the reasons is the culture. When I was raised, according to my culture, I have to pay respect to the authority.
My parents came here after they got married in their early 20s on a work visa, and I think that the biggest factor of discrimination that they faced was really just like the language barrier, because although they spoke English, their accent was very different than the typical American when they first came. And so I think just having to communicate and being able to understand the other people they were working with or just in public, I think that was a big factor, and people treated them differently because of that.
In addition, for people who are born into families in a lower income bracket, moving up the socioeconomic scale is so much less likely because of education and differing norms. In recent decades, education has become more important to employment and success. However, different communities experience different education quality. Purchasing a house near a highly ranked school district will cost much more than purchasing the exact same house near a poorer one. People in lower income brackets also have higher rates of being raised by a single parent, being faced with a teen pregnancy, and might also have to balance multiple jobs on top of their education. The American dream is this idea that making it in the United States means pulling oneself up by his bootstraps and working hard. But how can this be true, looking at all of the socioeconomic inequalities that different people face across the nation? And how can we use this idea to keep justifying economic policies that support the rich? With the rise of conservatism in the past 25 years or so, wages have stagnated and CEO pay has become about 300 times more than the average workers. Income equality keeps increasing. While this trend keeps moving and no policies are put forward to help reduce the inequality, the American dream will continue to be out of reach for most people in the United States. Until Americans begin to realize the reality of this myth and demand a turn in economic policies, this myth will continue to prosper.